I'd like to make a motion that the city of Kalamazoo immediately withdraw our standing from Southwest Michigan First as a council of 100 member. The background, as I'm sure everybody's aware at this point, is, I believe that Kalamazoo has made it loud and clear that we value diversity, equity, inclusion. You all are aware that we passed our non-discrimination ordinance well over a decade ago. And the recent decision made by Southwest Michigan First gives me a real moment of pause. And it appears that Southwest Michigan First Selection Committee did not weigh diversity, equity, inclusion when making the decision to hire Lee Chatfield as the new CEO. I've had several residents, businesses, other institutions reach out to me since last Thursday's announcement. And the question that all of us have is Southwest Michigan First aligned with the city of Kalamazoo and the greater Kalamazoo area? Has it aligned itself with Lee Chatfield's record when he served in the Michigan House of Representatives? For those of you that aren't aware, Mr. Chatfield was there for 6 years, 2 years as the Speaker of the House, and he championed the obstruction of every effort to pass non-discrimination protections and stood against anti-discriminatory laws. So again, my motion is that we immediately withdraw as a council of 100 member from Southwest Michigan First.
The decision to make this hire, in my opinion, really showed disregard for the values of this community and the values that this community holds dear. It seems to me that as an anchor organization of such stature, that they would do far more due diligence to consult community leaders, stakeholders, local businesses on what qualities we would like to see in this role. If it was sought, let's be clear, we all know this sort of feedback would not have led us to Lee Chatfield. It bears the question of what qualities made him desirable. Is it his career in economic development, transforming urban cores or regions, ability to rally groups towards a common vision, strong familiarity with our region? The answer to all of these is abundantly no. Lee Chatfield has zero experience in economic development as a professional. He is from a small town in the Upper Peninsula. He is a highly divisive leader and speaker in the Michigan House and in state politics. It's not just with the D's versus the R's, but he was divisive within his own party when he was elected to office in 2014. What makes this particularly raw was his openness to visit the White House during the discussion about lies about the Michigan election. He has been a vocal anti-masker, and his family's involvement has involved protesting the governor and keeping the state safe. As Erin states, he has a long record on equality measures and guns. He made his name for himself by boarding an airplane with a weapon. And during a period where marginalized communities have been under assault for the past 4 years, and our community is facing unprinted gun violence, it seems like that's as much of a punch to the gut as anything. You heard earlier from a caller as well that he's made steps to disempower local municipalities. Almost universal demographics that I've listened to in our community are not only frustrated, but they're outraged by this hire. It's not just those on the left making political jabs, as I'm sure that some people are going to say. There were even conservative former colleagues who have gone on the record saying that this makes no sense. It comes down to the treasured values system of this community. If a community wouldn't elect somebody of its values, why should a small group of board members or a hiring committee decide someone who has such a visible and powerful role in our community? Why would they knowingly hire someone so different from the people he will live amongst and who he'll need to work with? It begs the question, what were the real reasons behind this hire?
Talking about economic development, he voted against a signature piece of legislation that Governor Snyder and other major companies championed, known as Good Jobs for Michigan. Mr. Chatfield opposed his own party to stop funds from going into struggling communities, including the city of Kalamazoo. Chatfield ran on division, not unity, seeing an opportunity to take extreme positions to win a seat by challenging the establishment. He aligned himself with the Tea Party. There are dozens and dozens of news articles over the last several years that document this and document, the Tea Party as a movement creating racial divides and inciting racial tensions. Numerous stories profiled Chatfield's support. And finally, he was a champion against equality. I've mentioned this. You've heard some of that from news reports and people that have called in this evening. Mr. Chatfield simply did not hold anti-DEI positions. He positioned himself to be a leader against diversity, equity, inclusion. It was widely reported that Mr. Chatfield ran against Republican incumbent Frank Foster because of Foster's support for LGBTQ rights. Mr. Chatfield gave Mr. Foster an ultimatum in a widely reported phone call demanding that Mr. Foster drop his support for equality. And Mr. Chatfield had held these views throughout his term.